At the Lockmill Capital Company, trade processor Zara welcomes the new intern Myrtle. She gives her a tour and explains that the company invests pension money for corporations, government agencies, and unions. In the lobby, a mysterious group of people passes through security without issues. In the elevator, they put on gloves and pull out their weapons. Scotts also activates a phone jammer. They get off the elevator at floor 27, where they point their guns at receptionist Donnie. After covering his head with a blood-stained bag, they use a computer to turn off the security system. Then the group enters the office and makes everyone step away from their computers. They also make them drop their phones in a bin before sending them to the conference room. After the phone jammer is attached to the window, Leader London asks for the employees in the trade processing department. 4 people stand up including Zara, but she makes Myrtle stay down. When London asks why, Zara explains that Myrtle is new and doesn't know anything. London chooses Luke and Zara to go back to their desks and gives them a memory stick with 6 trades. Luke inserts the stick and points out that those are £4 billion in honest people's pensions, but London tells him to do the trade anyway. Since he's terrified, Luke is making lots of mistakes, so London presses his gun against his head. Meanwhile, 3 employees arrive late after getting stuck in traffic. They see glasses at the reception desk, so she pretends she's filling in for a sick Donnie. When the employees enter the office, they're immediately surrounded by the robbers. Their phones are taken and they're dragged to the conference room too. Once the trades are done, Luke gives the memory stick back to London. Then Scotts picks people from the committee to approve the trades. An employee points out that the custodian bank holds the money and not the company, but he's ignored. After the committee approves the trades, Zara finishes the transfer process. Luke points out that the bank will call to ask about the strange movements in the account, so London says they'll wait for it. In the reception, an employee brings the mail. Glasses pretends to be Donnie's replacement again and gets her gun ready under the desk. Thankfully, he doesn't see anything and leaves. Minutes later, Luke gets a call from the bank and London tells him to pretend that the trades are normal. However, Luke has a breakdown, so Zara takes over the call instead. She tells the banker a story about new hedge funds from the manager, and the banker promises to get the transfer done today. After the call ends, London announces that the gang is staying in the office until the money is in their accounts. In the conference room, Donnie moves the drapes and starts making hand gestures at the people in the neighboring building, asking them to call 911. Yorkshire sees him and beats him up with his gun. Then he drags him to the bathroom and restrains him next to the other wounded employee. Yorkshire asks Donnie if anybody saw him, and Donnie says no. When Yorkshire returns to the office, he tells the gang that Donnie lied. Burley goes to the window to check and confirms that the people in the other building are watching them. The robbers think they should abort their plan, but at that moment they get confirmation that the money's been transferred. They send Luke and Zara back to the conference room and lock it. After taking back the jammers and hiding the guns in their bags, they leave the office. By the time the police finally arrive, the robbers are gone, so they concentrate on freeing the employees and taking the hurt men to the hospital. Soon reporters are in the area too. Detective Reese talks to Zara in private, but suddenly her nose starts bleeding. She goes to the bathroom and hides in a stall to try to calm down. She hears other employees discussing the possibility that this was an inside job and she smiles, revealing she was part of the plan all along. The next morning, Zara checks her crypto wallet and finds £5 million as payment for helping the robbers. She transfers everything to a hard drive cold wallet, which she puts in a plastic bag and hides behind the refrigerator. At the police station, Detective Ellie tells her team that facial recognition can't identify the thieves because they wore prosthetics. Since they also wore gloves, they don't have fingerprints either. They all took different means of public transport and disappeared into camera black spots. All tickets were paid with cloned debit cards. When Zara arrives at the office, there are reporters everywhere. In the lobby, a guard asks for her ID before letting her pass. She asks Luke to talk in private, revealing he was part of the plan too. Zara tells him about the $5 million and he's shocked, since they'd been promised only $100,000. She tells him to move the money as soon as possible to sever any connection to the gang. Their conversation is interrupted by Wayne, who shares that another employee was offered £5,000 by a reporter for office photos and gossip. Then Luke is called for a follow-up interview with financial investigator Darren, Ellie, and Reese. Darren asks if it's normal for the company to have $4 billion sitting in cash, so Luke explains that they were in the middle of a portfolio rebalancing, which is done every few years. When Darren points out that it's a big coincidence to be robbed on that rare day, Luke gets extremely nervous. Zara sees him through the glass door and gets nervous too, so she rushes to the bathroom to freshen up. Then Darren asks about the trade authorization, so Luke confirms that the committee had to do that. Since they only meet once a week, Darren thinks it's another suspicious coincidence. Reese reminds Luke that these thieves almost killed his co-workers and offers him protection if he wants to talk, but Luke has nothing to say. After Luke leaves, Darren tells the detectives that he'd target the trade processing team if he needed an inside man for a crime. Reese believes Luke is guilty and that he had an accomplice, but they don't have enough for an arrest yet. Meanwhile, Luke tells Zara that the police know it was an inside job. Afterward, all the employees must attend a trauma session. The therapist asks Zara if she has anything to share since she hasn't talked, but Zara says she feels the same as everyone else. Then the therapist asks Luke the same question, so he wonders if he'll ever feel safe again. After work, Zara tells Luke to call in sick with stress tomorrow. She also tells him to transfer the money to a cold wallet using a VPN and reminds him not to call her. Meanwhile, Reese meets with his superior Nichols to ask him why it took so long for the case to get a financial investigator. Nichols claims that they needed time to find the best one. Reese also criticizes him for not pressuring the company and the custodian bank to give them the account details, so Nichols says there are more important things going on. When Reese wonders what's more important than thousands of lost pensions, Nichols walks away. Later, Darren finally receives documents from the custodian bank. The money was transferred to a private Virgin Islands bank known for being a tax haven. Ellie asks if the transfer can be reversed and Darren says no. The money will probably disappear quickly, and Reese wonders if it's already gone. When Luke gets home, he looks out the window and notices that some cars have been following him, so he closes the curtains. Then he hides in his closet to transfer the money to a hard drive. After retrieving the hard drive from its hiding space, Zara visits her mother Haley and says she wants to repair their relationship. However, Haley thinks Zara is just going through her to-do list. An argument ensues, but they're interrupted by a knock on the door. While Haley answers, Zara rushes to her old bedroom and moves a floorboard to pull out a box. She puts the hard drive in the box and returns it to the floor. When Zara turns around, she finds Haley watching her, so she pretends she was just feeling nostalgic. Afterward, Zara takes the bus and gets a call from Luke. He explains he's being followed and thinks his apartment may be bugged. Zara tells him she'll be there soon. On the car outside Luke's apartment, Scotts and Sniper listen to the whole conversation and watch him check the lights for wiretaps. They agree he's a liability. Then Scotts takes a look at the other car and confirms it's a police vehicle. Sniper sends out Junior, who pretends to be a pizza delivery boy and rings bells until someone lets him in. Junior rushes to the garage and opens the gate for his teammates. In the meantime, Reese joins a poker game but ends up leaving earlier than usual. On his way out, he gets a call from Luke, who asks him to come to his apartment and says he can't explain why. Before heading there, Reese alerts Nichols, since he's one of the cops in the police car. Nichols sends out a guard to do a walk around. When someone knocks on his door, a terrified Luke looks through the peephole and sees Junior, so he doesn't open it. Burley uses a ram to break down the door and the three men rush inside while Luke hides in his closet. He waits until everyone is distracted to come out, but at that moment Zara rings the bell and Burley turns around just in time to tackle him. Luke stabs him in the shoulder with a screwdriver and runs away. Sniper goes after him, following the bloodstains he left on the handles. At the door, some tenants are coming out and Zara takes the chance to go inside. She tries to take the elevator, but Junior leaves Burley at the doors to keep them from closing. After retrieving a wiretap from the apartment, Junior moves Burley and they go to the garage. When the elevator finally reaches the lobby, Zara sees the bloodstain and runs to hide. Luke sees Sniper and runs downstairs until he reaches the lobby, only to be knocked down by Junior. Then Junior grabs Luke and Sniper punches him a few times before injecting him with a sedative. Everything is seen by Zara, who has a breakdown. Sniper takes Luke and Burley away in the car while Junior stays to steal all the security tapes. After he also leaves, Zara picks up the empty sedative vial. When Reese arrives, he catches Zara leaving the building through a window. While other squads look for Luke, Reese takes Zara to a cafe and asks about her involvement in the heist, but she denies it. Zara tells him that a terrified Luke called her, so she came over, only to find blood in the elevator. She claims she escaped through the window because she thought the criminals were at the door. Afterward, Reese goes to Luke's apartment and tells Ellie that Zara is obviously involved, so they should try to put her under surveillance. A flashback shows Zara and Luke drinking at the bar and complaining about all the money their bosses make while paying their employees minimum wage. Then Luke goes to the bathroom to consume some happy powder while sharing that some people he met in an online video game offered £100,000 for helping them hack a pension plan. Zara is wary, so Luke admits he's in debt, and they keep arguing until someone knocks on the door. When the duo leaves the bar, Luke asks Zara to help him again and says that if she keeps working this boring job, she'll end up like her mother. Zara insults him and says she'll get a promotion. However, the next morning, Zara's request is turned down, so she tells Luke she'll consider helping him, but she wants to meet the mysterious criminals first. In the present, Reese takes the money he earned gambling to Matt, who threatens to sell his loan to sharks if Reese doesn't pay the rest of his debt in a week. Later at the office, Darren informs Reese that Luke had 7 overdrawn personal accounts with no unusual transactions, while Zara's account balance is low but clean. He thinks they should bypass the Virgin Island Bank and search for leaked offshore account details, although that information wouldn't be prosecutable. Reese authorizes him to do the search from his house. Meanwhile, Zara is following a tutorial to get a fingerprint from the vial. First, she has to go to the store to buy hydrogen peroxide. When she returns home, she finds Ellie with Secret Service agent Sam. They want to take her statement about last night, so she has no choice but to let them in and immediately hides the vial. Zara tells them the same story he told Reese, but Ellie points out that it doesn't match their surveillance team's log, which shows she was inside for 10 minutes. Ellie also finds it suspicious that she had her hood up in warm weather and that the cab that supposedly dropped her off doesn't appear on the security cameras. Zara says that the driver dropped her off down the street to avoid traffic and signs her statement while noticing Sam looking at her bag. When the duo leaves, Ellie tells Sam that Zara is definitely guilty and she has enough to ask for surveillance. However, Sam thinks she won't give them anything and wants to concentrate on finding the money or Luke first, so he'll talk to Nichols to cancel the surveillance request. At the same time, Reese visits Haley and tells her that Zara is involved with some dangerous people. However, Haley thinks Zara is too weak and scared to commit crimes. She also claims she hasn't seen her in months. After Reese leaves, Haley goes to Zara's room. Another flashback shows Luke and Zara meeting London and his crew. While discussing the heist, the gang assures them that nobody will get hurt and they won't be implicated. When the gang leaves, Zara pays a cab to follow them. She sees their car stopping at a warehouse and one of the robbers going inside. In the present, Zara manages to get the fingerprint from the vial. Meanwhile, Darren shows Reese the account where the money was set. They were all registered to a shell company called Gould Simmons. Reese recognizes the name of the famous defense contractor and tells Darren to leak the details because their bosses won't do anything. Darren explains he found this information very easily, so the Secret Service probably knew 10 minutes after the heist. At the police station, Ellie tells Reese what happened with Sam. It feels like they're pulling her away from Zara, so she thinks both Sam and Nichols are involved in this mess. Reese tells her to act cool because he'll take care of it. In the evening, Zara goes to the warehouse and waits until two men come out to sneak inside. She then searches the rooms until she finds the security cameras and shows off the vial, leaving it on the desk. When she's about to leave, she's found by a guard, who wants to know why she knows this address. Zara runs away and trips over some boxes before she manages to get out of the building. Soon a car starts following her, so Zara enters a crowded pub. When two men come after her, she leaves through the back door. She sneaks behind a car to stay hidden and starts running as fast as possible to finally lose the men. After getting on a bus, Zara calls Haley and asks her if she can visit her now, but Haley says she's at work and tells her to come tomorrow. After she hangs up, it's revealed that Haley is at home. At the station, Reese asks Nichols for the truth. Nichols takes him outside and explains that some powerful people are threatening him. He tells Reese to find an excuse to quit the case because he can't guarantee his safety, especially because of Reese debt problems. Zara goes to her mother's house anyway and is startled by Haley, who tells her she's already taken the hard drive. Haley wants some money, but Zara explains she needs the hard drive to leave the country and promises to pay her later. However, Haley doesn't believe her and an argument ensues. When Haley tells her to think about it and call her in a few days, Zara says she won't be alive then. When Zara gets home, she sees someone in her apartment and some men down the street, so she hides behind a car. At that moment, Reese shows up and takes her away in his car. Zara complains about the robbers following her, but Reese corrects her, revealing that those were Secret Service agents. If they catch her, they'll torture her for information. Zara wants to know what's going and threatens to jump out of the car, forcing Reese to park so they can chat. He explains that the Secret Service blocked his request for surveillance and that his investigation was set up to fail. Zara finally admits she helped with the robbery. However, she had been told that the gang would hack the accounts, and she had no idea about the heist. The duo goes out for a coffee and Reese convinces Zara to team up with him. Then she takes him to the warehouse and she waits in the car while he goes inside. She finds Reese's wallet and reads the details on his ID. At that moment, a white van parks nearby. Zara blows the horn in fear and the van drives away. Reese immediately comes back, and after making sure she's fine, he explains that the warehouse has already been emptied. Afterward, the duo walks down a busy street and discusses the possibility of a member of the investment committee also being involved in this. Reese stops at the ATM to withdraw money and Zara notices he only has £212. He asks if she can get the notes from the committee meetings, so she explains that they're on a network drive and only committee members have access. She'll try to get the passwords from the secretary. Reese gives her some cash and tells her not to use her credit card or phone. At a hotel, Zara rents a room. Before Reese leaves, she gives him the fingerprint. The next morning in a remote farmhouse, the gang watches footage of Zara dropping off the vial and London scolds Sniper for leaving evidence behind. In a room upstairs, Luke hears every word. Suddenly, Sniper drags him out and brings him to the kitchen, where the gang asks him what he told Zara. Luke swears he only told her the necessary information and Sniper kicks in, but Luke insists he didn't do anything. London wonders if they can trust her. At the lab, Reese convinces a scientist to run the fingerprint without reporting it. At that moment, he gets a text from Matt reminding him he only has 6 days left to pay. Afterward, he meets with a friend from a bank to ask for a loan, but he's told his chances are almost zero. Later, Ellie shows the team a picture of a burned vehicle they've found on a farmland, which appears to be the one used to kidnap Luke. Reese goes to see Nichols and Sam, who have received information from the newspaper about the money's location. It seems Darren did secretly leak the information. Nichols sends Reese and Sam out to investigate, telling them to be careful. At the office, Zara asks Kate if she can use a committee office because her desk has bad memories, but Kate sends her to a different desk. After working for a while, Zara approaches the committee's secretary pretending she has a question. Then she acts like she has an upset stomach, so the secretary goes to get a biscuit. Zara takes the chance to access the computer and print all the information she needs. When the secretary comes back, Zara takes the biscuit and rushes to get the paper from the printer. Moments later, Sam, Darren, and Reese visit defense contractor Gould, who swears he has no idea why the robbers sent the money to his account. The guys ask for access to his account and documents, but Gould refuses. Sam then asks him to return the money, but Gould's lawyer says it's no longer in his account, claiming it was moved 10 minutes after it arrived by some hack. Darren points out that this is more reason to let them look at the account, otherwise it'll look like he did it. When Gould reminds him that his account is protected by the Official Secrets Act, Darren says it isn't because he uses it to pay bribes and the newspaper probably already knows. Gould insults him and Darren insults him back, causing him to kick them out. On their way out, the lawyer approaches them and gives them her business card, finally agreeing to send them the necessary information. She also reveals that when Gould's account was hacked, the thieves took his money as well. Gould will talk to the press soon and Reese realizes he'll want to look like a victim. In the farmhouse, Sniper is tired of hiding and wants to change the plan, but London reminds him that they've been compromised, so they must stay there until they get orders from their boss. Luke watches the gang argue from afar. In the evening, Sniper brings food for Luke, who tells him he's right and thinks the others are messing with him. Luke offers to pay him for his help, but Sniper leaves. Meanwhile, Reese gets a text from his friend explaining that the loan was turned down. At the office, Zara waits until all the employees are gone to access the committee's computer. She finds the notes and immediately prints them. When Reese calls her, she tells him to come over. At that moment, Myrtle and Milo return to the office because Myrtle forgot her phone, so Zara quickly hides. Milo notices that the printer is on, but luckily Myrtle distracts him by promising naughty times, so they leave without seeing Zara. When Reese arrives, he tells Zara that the warehouse had been rented by a front company from Panama. Zara shows him the committee notes, which say that the company had all that cash because of a risk report. She thinks the numbers on that report were fake to force that decision. The report is signed by Milo, Kate, and another employee. Zara explains that the third employee left 3 months ago and Milo is an idiot, so Kate is probably behind this since she checks all the reports and should catch any weird numbers. Afterward, Reese takes Zara to the restaurant where he plays poker, even telling her about his gambling. Zara complains about the situation and claims that robbers never paid her. The next morning, Zara runs some simulations on her computer to try to find the origin of the fake risk numbers. Since it'll take a while, she goes out for lunch. Suddenly, a secret agent sits on her table and tells her that she's surrounded. One of the other agents has a syringe that could kill her in 10 minutes and make it look like a heart attack. Following the agent's instructions, Zara leaves the restaurant and gets in a cab, where a man is waiting for her with a gun. At the farmhouse, Sniper has had enough and talks to Luke to make a deal. Luke offers him half of his money, but Sniper wants it all. When he threatens to drop the deal, Luke agrees to give him everything. Sniper doesn't know if he should believe him, so Luke explains he'll give him Zara's money and not his own. After driving around town for a while, the cab drops Zara off near the pier and the agents force her to go on a walk with them. They know she's been running a secret investigation with Reese and that she has important information. If she doesn't cooperate, they'll kill her. Zara explains she needs to finish the investigation to get the name they need and promises to give it to them, but in return she wants to stay out of prison and keep the money. The agent explains they can't grant her immunity, but they can give her a new identity in another country. She gives Zara her card and tells her to call her when she has the name. Later, Reese tries to call Zara, but she ignores him. He then watches Gould on TV, denying any connection to the heist. At that moment, someone rings his bell and Reese is shocked to find Zara at the door. She's guessed he's drowning and dead and wonders if he's been using her for the money, but Reese denies it. He explains his job is the only thing he has left and if he loses it, then he'll lose his soul to gambling. Zara finally understands that he's trying to save himself. Reese admits he likes Zara's company and she kisses him, so they end up getting dirty. The next morning, Reese receives a message from the lab with the possible matches for the fingerprint. Zara looks at all the pictures until she identifies Sniper. At the police station, Ellie informs Reese that there's been another leak. The stolen money has been moved to dodgy offshore accounts linked to the Chancellor's family trust, so now there's a political scandal on the news. Reese talks to Ellie in private and shows her Sniper's picture, asking for help to catch him. At the office, Wayne scolds Zara for using the risk modeling software, explaining that she locked up the server. When she asks how he knew it was her, he tells her there's a log. Zara rushes back to her desk and checks the log to discover that the one messing with the numbers was actually Milo. She talks to him in private and scolds him until he admits everything. He was recruited by the robbers, and he recruited Luke. Milo has no idea who hired them all, but he has a number for emergencies on a burner phone. He'll give it to Zara if she agrees not to tell the agents about him. Zara takes the deal, so they go to Milo's house, where he reveals he was paid $20 million for the job. After cleaning the phone to remove his fingerprints, he gives it to Zara. She then realizes that the robbers already had 2 people in Luke and Milo, so she wonders why they roped her into this too. Milo explains that he and Luke knew about the heist, but they didn't tell her because she wouldn't approve. The thieves asked for a third person from the lower ranks and picked Zara from all the employees' profiles Milo gave them. They never explained why, but Milo and Luke had a theory. They thought they would blame it all on Zara and kill her by making it look like self-deletion. People would believe it because she's the biggest mess in the office. She has no family and drinks on the weekends to forget her bad job. Zara is devastated by the way people see her, so she breaks a vase on her way out. Meanwhile, Ellie and Reese visit Sniper's daughter at a care home. She tells them she hasn't talked to her father in months but lets them look at the call history on her phone. The detectives investigate the number and discover it comes from a SIM card that was sold in the same area where the burned car was found. They need to investigate the license plate, so Reese will send out a bunch of fake requests to hide the real one. At the train station, Zara gets a call from Reese but she ignores it and looks at the agent's card instead. Then Reese finishes his research and finds the burned car's plate on several street cameras. Its last trip goes to a farm. At the farmhouse, Luke sees the gang leave. Sniper bursts into his room and announces they're leaving too. When Luke reaches the corridor, he's shocked to find Junior dead on the floor. Sniper says this is what he asked for and forces him to keep moving. While Sniper puts all his bags in a car, Luke pretends to get in too but actually runs away. Sniper immediately goes after him and punches him to knock him out. Meanwhile, Zara meets with the agents and gives them the phone number. The agents give her the documents for a new identity, but warn her that they'll be red flagged if the number turns out to be fake. Zara mustn't contact anyone and leave within 24 hours. Afterward, Zara visits her mother and they agree on a deal. Haley gives her the cold wallet and Zara connects it to a laptop, only to discover that the balance is zero and it says it's corrupted. Zara realizes that her mother asked someone to try to hack the hard drive, and that wiped the entire balance. Haley freaks out and asks her to fix it, so Zara finally snaps and shoves her down. Then she throws the hard drive on the ground to break it and leaves in tears. After walking a few blocks, it's revealed that Zara exchanged the hard drives and she has the real one with the money. When the gang returns to the farmhouse, they discover that Sniper and Luke are gone, so they must leave too. By the time the detectives arrive, the Secret Service has already raided the place. Reese asks Sam how he found the place and he says it was an anonymous tip-off. He also knows that Reese has been seeing Zara and told Nichols, so Reese is now suspended. Moments later, Reese arrives home and Zara is waiting for him. She admits she helped the Secret Service and apologizes, explaining she needed a way to escape this mess. Zara wants to give him her cold wallet so he can pay his debt, but Reese yells at her because money doesn't matter now that he may lose his job. He insults her and says she ruined his life before kicking her out. Zara gives him back the cash he lent her for the hotel before leaving. When Zara gets home, she finds Sniper pointing a gun at her and Luke tied to a chair. Sniper asks for her cold wallet and threatens to kill Luke, but Zara points out that if she gives it to him he'll kill them both anyway. Sniper gets ready to cut Luke, so Zara offers him a deal. She has $5 million, but Milo has 20. She'll take Sniper to Milo if he lets them go. Sniper agrees, but Zara must give him her wallet with the codes now, and they'll make an exchange at Milo's place. Meanwhile, Reese uses the cash Zara gave him to gamble. However, after watching the reports about the scandal on TV, he regrets it and leaves. Since he can't access his police account, he calls Ellie for help, but she can't talk because Sam is watching her. Then he calls Darren and asks him to meet him at the company. In a hideout, the gang is informed they have a new job. They get ready to work but abandon Burley, who will probably not survive the night. At Milo's house, Sniper rings the bell while the others wait in the car. Luke calls Zara brilliant for her lie, so Zara explains that Milo lied to him and he got paid $20 million for real. Since nobody is home, Sniper returns to the car. When Milo finally comes home, he finds the trio in his living room. He tells Sniper where to find the safe and gives him the password. While Sniper takes out the cold wallet, Milo grabs a pepper spray from the coffee table. Sniper then asks for the wallet codes, but Milo explains he hid them in the office. When Sniper comes close enough, Milo sprays his face, so Sniper brings him down and stabs him with a knife. After Milo dies, Sniper is ready to kill the others. However, Luke knows where Milo's hiding spot is. Outside the company building, Reese is waiting for Darren and is shocked to see Sniper arrive with Luke and Zara, so he calls 911. At Milo's house, the gang finds the body and notices his key card is missing, so they conclude Sniper went to the office. In the company lobby, Sniper breaks the guard's neck to kill him. They go to the office and Luke opens the base of a trophy to get Milo's codes. Sniper grabs the paper and gets ready to kill them anyway, so Luke quickly hits him to knock him out. Zara takes the gun while Luke grabs both wallets and tries to call the police, but the lines are down. He rushes to the main server to turn them on, only to hear the elevator. When he tries to peek, Reese knocks him out with a punch. At that moment, Sniper wakes up and Zara hesitates to shoot, so he jumps on her and steals the gun. When he's about to kill her, Reese yells behind him and Sniper fires at him instead. Reese quickly hides and says the police are coming, so Sniper leaves the office to look for Luke and the wallets. Then Reese approaches Zara, who tells her Milo did it, but he wasn't in charge. When the gang finally arrives, they find Luke unconscious in the elevator. At the same time, Reese looks out the window and sees the Secret Service coming, which means they intercepted his call. He and Zara try to leave, but they have to hide again because the gang is now searching the office. Sniper also sees them and carefully sneaks around until he can surprise Scotts from behind, quickly choking him to death before taking his gun. Zara uses a computer to send some documents to the printer. The gang gets distracted by the noise, so she and Reese start running. Unfortunately, London sees them and opens fire, causing Reese to get hit by a bullet. The gang surrounds them and Zara wants to know who is behind all this, but the thieves don't know who hired them either. In the corridor, Sniper kills another robber and approaches Luke to ask for the cold wallets. Luke throws them on the floor before closing the doors to go down. After grabbing the wallets, Sniper confronts his teammates and a shootout ensues. After several minutes of shots, the noise stops and Glasses goes to the corridor to check on the result, only to find London and Yorkshire dead. Sniper takes the chance to shoot her too. While Luke reaches the lobby and calls the police, Sniper injects an illegal substance into his leg to deal with the pain. Reese and Zara hide in another room and Zara notices that Reese has a taser. He tells her that money isn't worth risking her life, but Zara doesn't want the entire incident to be pointless, so she grabs the taser and goes out. Sniper opens fire when he sees her, so Zara quickly hides. He starts looking for her around the office, so Zara waits for the right moment to jump on him and tase him down. She also kicks the gun away, so Sniper knocks her down and punches her to grab the weapon first. Zara wants to know what the heist point was, and Sniper tells her to ask Reese. When he's about to shoot her, she manages to tase him again, and this time she keeps it up until he dies. Soon the police arrive and the paramedics take Reese away while Zara reunites with Luke. Sometime later, the media reports that there was a gas leak in the company caused by Milo, who supposedly self-deleted. They also discuss the 32 celebrities who have been exposed for having offshore accounts in tax havens. Meanwhile, Luke and Zara discuss what to do next. They gave the wallets to the Secret Service and blamed everything on Milo, so Luke thinks they have to go on a vacation to forget about everything. At home, Reese is playing poker online but is interrupted when Zara visits him. She shares what Sniper said about him, but Reese denies it, saying that he's jobless and about to lose his house. Sniper was just messing with her head. After Zara leaves, Reese rushes to check the case files. At the office, Zara picks up her things and learns from Myrtle that the company got all the money back. When she's about to leave, she bumps into Reese, who says he finally knows who did it. He guides her to another office where they find Darren, who has been the mastermind behind this all along. He's a former financier who has become disillusioned with the wealth system, so he planned all this to uncover the dirty businesses of the rich. Now dozens of accounts are being investigated. Zara points out that people died, but Darren explains that wasn't his plan. The thieves were only supposed to kidnap Luke and kill Sniper. Darren gives a speech about how broken the world is, calling Reese naive for thinking the system can be fixed legally. He returned all the pension money, but he still has what he took from Gould, which he offers to them. Reese considers it because of his debt, but Zara points out that it would tie them to Darren forever. The duo leaves and Reese freaks out because he turned down money that could have saved his house. However, Zara reveals she hid Milo's wallet and the trophy, and the only wallets the Secret Service took are hers and Luke's. Reese and Zara leave together, ready to start a new life.
ဒီလိုဗီဒီယိုတွေကိုပုံမှန်ကြည့်ရှုနိုင်ဖို့ subscribe လုပ်ပြီး notification တွေကိုဖွင့်ထားဖို့မမေ့ပါနဲ့ကြည့်ရှုပေးတဲ့အတွက်ကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်